This is not that you're failing, it's just that you're prioritizing what's important to you right now in your stage of life.
It's like someone coming to us and I saying to them, then I want you to come to your Project Me sessions 5 days a week. But if that's not realistic for that person and they can only maybe train twice a week, I've already set them up for failure. Do you know what I mean? So
comparison is the thief of joy. And in the process of trying to achieve a goal, whether you get there or you don't, you go through some sort of transformation. Welcome to the Stronger, Fitter, Happier podcast. I'm your host Vin, and I'm joined by my co-host Miss Sadie Duddern.
Hey everybody.
Giving out your full government name today. Anyway, so today's episode is a special episode like every episode at the Stronger, Fitter, Happier podcast. So today's episode is all for anyone who feels like a failure when it comes to the health and fitness. So if you're someone who constantly feels like you're not good enough, you're failing compared to other people, you're not someone who is succeeding, which is the opposite of what I just said in terms of failing. But if you're someone who just feels like you're not making progress, you're not doing what you should be, and you are the one that is the problem, this is for you, because we are going to basically help you define whether you actually are a failure or you've just been failed. So what I mean by that is you get two clear like kind of paths of this. So you get on one end of the spectrum where you are just literally not doing what you should be. So, someone who knows exactly what to do, they've got all the right tools in place, they've got the time to do it, everything is there for success, you're just not taking action. So clearly, you are the one who's failing. Then on the opposite end, you've been failed. And what I mean by that is like, you've been given a really rubbish program to follow. You've gone on some yo-yo diet and it's from the start just going to set you up for failure, whatever. It's not you, it's whatever is kind of the fake diet pills that you've been sold by some Instagram celebrity. That is the failure. Like, you've been failed. But then there's a blurry line. So in the middle, there is a very blurry line where people are almost made to be failures, but they're not the ones who are failing. Like, they're being failed. And then sometimes it is the other way. They are the failure, even though they've got something good in place. So, and there's a blurry line. And today we're going to help you define which side of the coin, I guess, you fall on. So, Sadie.
I think, actually, if you don't mind, I think what's quite a good kind of way to set this up is knowing that actually, have you set yourself up for failure at the beginning, or have you set yourself up for success? I think that's where a lot of people go wrong. And a lot of people come to us and they have tried things in the past, which hasn't been right for them. I think it's really important finding things that are right for you. And like you said, like a lot of the time, is it the person or is it what they're doing that's failing them? And I think it's so important to make sure that, like what we do at Body+beyond is we make sure that we individualize the journey so that we are setting them up for success and to achieve.
Okay. So like when you say, that someone, so would you define then that someone who hasn't got a personalized journey is the one that's being failed?
Well, yeah. So say, for example, someone's gone to a personal trainer and they're just giving that one kind of approach to everybody, but that might not work for everybody. That might work for you, but then that might not work for me. So I think that's why when people come to us, we make sure, okay, the nutrition approach that we take is individualized so that that person can achieve. The training approach that we take is individualized so that person can achieve. So it's always taking that individual into consideration so that whether they can train 5 days a week, twice a week, whether they want to track their food or not, like things like that. So we're making sure that whatever we are giving the person or whatever they are doing is individualized to that person's journey.
I think it's a really important point you bring up, because what happens a lot, especially in the fitness industry, is you see people who are successful. Like, someone's posting transformation after transformation on their social media or whatever, and you think, oh, I'm gonna go with this person. They've got a proven track record. They seem to be helping people. But you're seeing all the success stories. So say they have, I don't know, they're training 50 people. Out of the 50 people, let's say they're a really good trainer, and out of 50 people, 40 people are seeing results. And there's 10 people who are failing or failed to get the results that the other people got. Does that mean that that personal trainer is a bad trainer? Not necessarily. It doesn't. It just means that well, actually, it doesn't even mean that, but let's say they're giving one approach to all of their clients.
Yeah.
Like you said, then they potentially they are the one that's causing the failure, not the people. Because the people are not able to stick to the regime that they've been given, but that's not always the fault of the person. So a really good example of this is someone who generally gives out meal plans. Say, this is your meal plan. This is what I want you to stick to. If you can't stick to it, you're the failure. To go, well, I'm giving you this rigid training program. You have to train for an hour. You have to do it 5 days a week. And if you can't do that, then you're the failure.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if you were able to stick to the plan, yes, of course, you would see really good results because the plan's proven to work. But if you do not fit into that criteria of the type of people who can fit into that, typical, like, basically that plan. So people who are like time rich or generally have like, able to like stick to a diet plan and don't go out to eat or don't have family and kids, then they're the ones that are going to only succeed. Yeah, what happens is that you then, because you can't stick to the plan or you can't adhere to the plan, you're the one who ends up being told that you're the failure when in fact it's the plan that failed you.
And sometimes it's just not right for that person, is it?
Yeah, and it's what you're saying. It's like you have to individualize the journey for someone. You have to personalize that journey. And this is why it's really important that you find someone who's able to meet your needs. So even if you're going to someone who does do a one-size-all-fits approach, go to that person who does a one-size-fits-all approach that is that kind of tailors to your needs. So if you're like someone who's, I don't know, who wants to see a transformation but has the time to basically meal prep and stick to a meal plan and, do like ridiculous 20,000 steps a day and train 5 days a week, and that's the plan you're going to get, and that's the plan you're going to get, then go to the trainer who provides that plan and only that plan. Or someone who's flexible and does basically what the person needs, which is what everyone should do, but that's time for another tale. There's another time for that. But yeah.
I was actually speaking to someone in the gym the other day, and she saw, and I don't know, obviously this was on social media, but she saw someone who had amazing results and went and got online coaching with the same person. But once she signed up, she realized that the person wanted her to train 5 days a week, 15,000 steps minimum a day, and they had to stick to this strict meal plan, and calories were pretty low. And she said, I don't understand, I can't stick to this. I have a family, I have kids. Why am I not seeing results that her friend did on social media? And I said, it's just because it's not working for you. That was perfect for that person. Like you were just saying, that they could do all of that, but it's just not the right approach for you. You could still see great results, but it's just, you will have to do it differently. You'd have to cater it for yourself. Because
you have to remember that let's say that's like a 8-week or 12-week transformation they're trying to create. That's not necessarily aggressive, but it's more of an aggressive approach. Like lots of steps, lots of activity, lots of working out. It gets results, but it's an aggressive way of getting results. Whereas you could slow down the process. Yes, you might double the time, but doubling the time may make you the success. Do you get what I mean? Some people need a short, hard hit. Some people need that slow, steady approach, where the deficit is, a calorie deficit is not exactly like a 40% calorie deficit. It's more like a 20 or a 15 or a 10% calorie deficit, and it's slow, gradual weight loss over a longer period of time where they're able to eat more food and they don't have to go 20,000 steps a day. They can do 7 to 10. And I know it's not exactly the most popular advice that you're given because it's slow and, it's not fast and that sort of thing. But if that's what makes you stick to the plan, and that's what's success for you. Do you see what I mean? And this is where we're trying to get at. Different things work for different people. Different approaches, like fasting may work for someone. Fasting may not work for somebody else. And it's not that fasting is what makes fat loss occur or whatever the goal is, but it's that approach to get into a calorie deficit or into looking after your nutrition is what works for one person, doesn't work for the other. And this is why it's really important to find an approach that is personalized to your needs and to what you're trying to achieve.
It's like someone coming to us and I saying to them, then I want you to come to your Project Me sessions 5 days a week. But if that's not realistic for that person and they can only maybe train twice a week, I've already set them up for failure. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's why, like, when people come to us, what does that person want to do? What can they do with their lifestyle? What suits them?
Yeah, 100%. And the other thing that I think a lot of people like will potentially get wrong in terms of like labeling themselves a failure is where they say like, I'm just not able to do this, or even if the approach is tailored or whatever, they're just like, oh, you know, I really want this. I really, really want to change my fitness, change my body, change like my lifestyle, but I just can't seem to do it. And they're like, I'm a failure because I can't make time, or I'm too busy and that sort of thing. And what they need to flip is, and I know I'm going to sound like the soft coach who's there to give you a hug and not make you feel, you know, but it's true. Like there is a time to be like, yeah, you are failing and, you know, you need to, you know, suck it up and do something. We definitely have that conversation with people as well. But there is a time where you can go, you know, this is not you. This is not that you're failing. It's just that you're prioritizing what's important to you right now in your stage of life. Like I gave Sadie an example before we started the podcast about birthdays. So someone can be made to feel like a failure over their birthday weekend if they're not sticking to like a nutrition plan or not working out, if they're told that, you know, that's failing, that you don't, you know, you go out to eat on your birthday and, I don't know, have like lots of cake or whatever. Whereas if you looked at it as like, no, I'm prioritizing celebrating with my friends and family for my birthday over this weekend, and fitness and my workout regime and my nutrition is lower down on my priority list, you've basically put what's important to you first. So technically you've succeeded. You've succeeded in your goal of prioritizing your birthday celebrations, and you've succeeded in dropping down the priority of your fitness. And that's all it is. It's a balancing act. And if you're, you know, succeeding at other points with your fitness and not potentially with other areas of your life, I don't know, like whatever, you have to drop things up and down your priority list.
Yeah.
Like you could be someone who's failing to go out with friends and family a lot, and socializing, going out to eat and being, you know, that social bubble, that's, you know, socializing person, but then you're prioritizing your fitness and health. I'm not saying one goes with the other. I'm just saying like there's only so many hours in the day.
Yeah, exactly. And so many things that you can put your 100% effort into.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you know, sometimes people, I don't know, like business owners will feel like they're failing as a family person or parent or whatever, but they're succeeding in business. And I'm not saying you have to do the one or the other again. I'm just saying that sometimes you're giving one area of your life more than the other. And you have to change your perspective on things. It's about prioritizing as opposed to, you know, saying that one thing is failing, one thing is not. Like, if that makes sense. I feel like I'm not maybe making myself clear here.
I think as well, it's like that mindset, isn't it? If you've already told yourself that you're failing on this, then you're already telling yourself you have, you know? So I think it's changing the mindset and, like you say, prioritizing.
Yeah, and just shifting things up and down that like that list, and just making sure that you know that you're in the right frame of mind to do something as well. So something else I was thinking of is that a lot of people will say like they want something or they don't necessarily want it. And I'm not saying, oh, you just don't want it bad enough and like, you know, like that rah motivation stuff. I more mean like your actions always are what basically is the truth. Do you get what I
mean? Yeah.
What you say and what you might feel is not the truth of it's not reality. What you're actually doing is reality. So you could say you want, to change your fitness and your health and stuff, but if you're not actually taking action towards that, it might not be as important to you as you say it is, because your actions will dictate that. So you have to be real in terms of like, is this a priority to me right now? If it's not, that's fine. It doesn't mean you're a failure. It just means that you're valuing something else right now. I think that's what I was trying to get. Hopefully that's a bit more clearer. You have to be respectful of what you're trying to value at that particular time in your life. And that doesn't necessarily mean a failure. We need to kind of change that definition. And that actually brings me a good point onto something we were discussing about, like defining success and what is success to you.
And it's different for everybody. Like what might be a success for me might be not for you. For example, like a lot of the time for someone coming to us, success might just be training once a week when they're used to training none. It might be doing a little bit more activity rather than being a couch potato, like things like that. Like that is something so small, but for some people that is a success. So for other people, it might be prioritizing their nutrition a little bit more and things like that. Yeah.
And like what we get into a big trap is like looking at other people and thinking, like, oh, like they've just transformed their body and lost 10 kilos in 12 weeks. And why can't I do that? Or I'm a failure because I couldn't do that. But what you need to do is look at like, what's your life like? What's your day-to-day looking like? Are you able to give that kind of effort or that kind of time? Like you have other priorities in your life, you have other values, and you have to put that first and then define your success around that. So like your success, like Sadie said, might just be going to the gym a few times a week and getting fitter and focusing on that progress, and then slowly just letting like weight loss be the byproduct and enjoying the journey and enjoying that kind of process of going through from A to B and then getting, results. But if you're constantly like looking at other people's successes and then making them yours in terms of, because of comparison, you're always going to feel like a failure. You're always going to be like, that's failing, but it's not. And go on.
I was just going to say, it's shifting that mindset again. Like it's changing the way that you look at things. That's really important. The same as what we were saying earlier about prioritizing. And again, here, like if you're not changing your mindset of how you see things, then like you say, you're always going to see it as you're failing at something or another.
And like we say it a lot on here, and like probably a lot of people say, it's like comparison is the thief of joy. And you as soon as you start comparing your results to somebody else's, or your lack of results to somebody else's success, you're always going to be on the downer. Like you're never going to feel two things are going to happen. You're either going to be like egotistical and think you're better than everybody else, which is not going to make you feel good. It may be short term, but not long term. But more so the other side of things, the people that kind of listen to us won't be that kind of egotistical people, but they're more going to be on the side of like saying that they're not good enough.
Yeah.
You're going to end up you're someone who's probably not comparing with ego in mind. You're comparing with like, I guess, self-hatred in mind, or, just not appreciating yourself and where you are because of comparison. So don't do that. Don't compare somebody else's success to yours. Just focus on your own journey. Start defining your successes and then go from there. And it just gave me the thought while we were talking about it, was about a lot of people don't know the cost of success. So they automatically will end up setting themselves up for failure before they've even started, because you may set a goal of, I don't know, you want a six-pack, but you then don't realize that to get lean, you do have to track calories. Like to get that level of lean, you may have to, I don't know, track all your calories and, train a certain amount of times and, have some sort of restriction around food and the amount you eat and the amount you go out to eat and that sort of thing. And then family meals and stuff like that. But if you haven't taken all that into consideration and then you set out on a goal, but you're not willing to do the things that get you to that goal, you will fail. So you will always end up on the failure spectrum. And it's not necessarily that the plan has failed you. It's more so that you have set a goal that you're not willing to do you're not willing to do what it takes. Yeah. So you're always going to feel like a failure. Whereas if you define your goal a bit clearer, you say you said you wanted a six pack, and then you realize that you're not willing to do things that gets you there, you quickly change that goal to, I'm going to change it to this. Like, I'm just going for weight loss where I feel comfortable in my clothing, flat stomach, decent level of body fat, and, fitter, stronger, enjoying exercise, enjoying training, enjoying my lifestyle, going out to eat and that. And that, if that's your success marker, and then you're like, okay, I can do all the things that are going to get me there. And then you're able to personalize the journey and, navigate around, because you've taken into consideration your values, your time, everything like that, you're automatically going to end up positive and more successful and get to the goals that you've set out to be, because you've reverse engineered. You haven't gone, I'm going to get to this goal and not planned out how you're going to get there. You've gone, there's the goal. What do I need to do to get there, get back to, go from there, and then work back from that point, and you set yourself for success.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah.
I guess it's probably a great point to end, because it's, I guess, the ultimate way of making yourself successful. And without talking this episode to death, that's probably where you want to go towards. Look at the goal. How are you going to get there? Am I willing to do what's going to get me there? And then set out on that journey. And if it's not right for you, don't set out on that journey. Set out on a different journey that will lead to success. And then when you get there, you can change it. You can, this is why I like setting goals all the time for myself. Because in the process of trying to achieve a goal, whether you get there or you don't, you go through some sort of transformation in your mindset, in your just everything. You end up you just become something, you evolve.
Yeah.
And when you do evolve, you then can set a new goal and you move forward. So whether you get to the goal or you don't, you're always going to get something out of it. Yeah. So it's kind of even looking at that side of things where you're like, oh, I'm a failure. But even when you fail, you kind of learn, maybe what did you fail at? What went wrong? And then you can adjust it and then, move forward again with a bit more success this time. So you have to kind of look at that, maybe, I guess, embrace that side of failure as well to make it a bit more positive when you actually truly fail. So I hope you enjoyed that episode. I hope you found it useful. And what I would like you to do, if you did, is please share this with one person. Just tag them in, send it to them, whatever you want to do, however you want to do it. And just right now, if you're still listening, just screenshot your phone, put it up on your Instagram stories, tag me and Sadie in it. You'll see our tags on screen if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening, then our Instagram handles are, Sadie? Mine's is Vin and Beyond. So if you tag us in there, we'll see it and we can share it and more people get to see it. So some of you have been doing that. We really appreciate it. Thank you very much. So until next time, guys, over and out.
See ya.
Bye.